You look very good.
Thank you. Good day, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Business, where we have conversations with different female entrepreneurs sharing their journey so that we don't only see one perspective of female entrepreneurship and women being bosses. I'm super excited today because we are related. So it's just kind of like a little
Yes,
bit.
we are.
Yes. But she's super talented, and her name is Regine, and her brand is called Kitchen for Fashion. And I want to say thank you for coming and talk with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And for anyone that wants to know about you, like share a little bit, what is Kitchen for Fashion?
Kitchen for Fashion is a fashion brand, and we are focused on ladies, but we also do men and children on demand and tailoring. Next, our how you say that? Um, our way of thinking is finding the right balance, where we come from, where we're going, where we're standing in social how you say it, environment,
Okay.
and of course as how you like to feel as a female.
I love it. And you've been in design now for how many years?
Let's say about 33 years. When I was a little girl, I was already designing and playing with my Barbies. And from there on, I just love developing fashion. And it's not only about making, but it's also about finding new ways to wear things, new ways to be more feminine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and one of the things I've always loved about your brand. So one thing that we didn't mention is that she's actually in Amsterdam.
Yes, I am.
So that's where like the pause is because usually it's more in Dutch.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Usually, when I get interviewed, it's all in Dutch. When I tell people about my brand and where I come from, who am I, and everything. It's all in Dutch. But fortunately, we have family all over the world, so my English is not that bad. But please have a little bit of patience with me when my words are not that correct.
Hey, even for like native speakers, the English is not always that correct. So it's totally fine. We understand. And the reason why I thought it would be great to have you sharing, because I think that because a lot of times we only see entrepreneurship only in the States. And I feel like fashion is a international thing. And I wanted to ask you, how have you been going about growing your brand, in Amsterdam?
Yeah. Because I'm a one-man show, things kind to be a little bit more slower than I prefer. But branding first in Amsterdam and getting people to get to know Kitchen for Fashion through whole Holland. Uh, it was all about making sure that what I did it loud and proud.
Yeah.
And also being there always being there whenever somebody asks, oh, do you want to come here? Do you want to join us? Always representing myself in my clothes, in my brand, and in what I stand for, and always having my story ready. That and a good story really helps people to how you say it, to get to know you better, because the more often they hear it, they more the way they can visualize you and your clothes will get more and more easier. And yeah, and of course the way I design is also very different. So
Yeah, but I love the prints and the boldness. So like whenever I'll share with like friends, like, look what my cousin did. This is so agree. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love it. But I always wonder, like, because I don't know much about Amsterdam fashion. Do you run into any challenges with the boldness and the prints and the African, prints and things like that, like being accepted when it comes to fashion design?
Well, in Amsterdam, fashion and different things are very bold and out there, and everybody's doing their own thing and having their own identity. So in Amsterdam itself, it's very easy. But going to other places in Holland, that makes it a little bit more different because, well, there are a lot of white, how do you say that? White places,
Yeah.
and they don't get it. They
Yeah.
don't get it, and especially the part where I come from, but also finding the balance where I'm standing right now, and trying to mix it in a way that nobody feels offensive, but at the same time, people see the power in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
But
I
then
always
again,
go ahead.
hmm?
No, go ahead. No, you're saying then again.
Then again, my focus group is black
Yeah.
people, black women, especially strong black women,
Yeah.
and women who know where they want to go and where they come from. And even if they don't know where they come from, but they still will know where they want to go. Well, I think Kitchen for Fashion helps you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you do have that boldness, like with your clothes and your designs, and even like with the menswear. Like I feel that sometimes when it comes to someone using like African print stuff, it can be, it's a hard line of, it's hard to keep it fashionable compared to traditional. And I feel that
Yes.
your pieces are fashionable where it's not having to be a traditional garment.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people also ask me, hey, could you design something African for me? And I'm like, well, okay, so what do you mean about African clothes and garments? They're like, yeah, what they wear in Africa. And then I'm like, yeah, but what they wear in Africa is actually what they wear in the Western world. But
Yeah.
because everybody is so stuck with traditional wear
Yeah.
that they don't see the other things that African people are wearing,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, oh, okay, well, I'm like, and then my designer feeling comes up, and then I'll be asking questions. So but what do you want? Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with your garment? And from there on, I start drawing and designing, and then I have a unique piece for you.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's the beautiful thing about it because, like you said, that people can have stereotypes or beliefs about what that is, and then even with seeing me and not even understand the diversity of my family and having certain conversations, and I'm like, okay, so you just walked right into something you really probably didn't even know you're about to walk into. I love that it still stays true to heritage and roots, but still also is a representation of your fashion and design aesthetic.
Yes, definitely.
At one point, you were doing classes. How is that something that you're still able to do with the pandemic? Because I'm not sure how things are locked down there.
Yeah, first the classes were always in groups,
Mhm.
and I would give some private classes, but not a lot. And now that changed, and I give a lot of private classes, and well, no group classes at this moment. But even though for the people who take the classes, they will be texting me and calling me during the time just to get tips, tricks, and well, they say that I can be very well. I can explain things very well with
Mhm.
words.
Yeah.
So I think they are cool. They are fine. But I like combining these two, the fashion designing and the classes, giving something back.
Have you been, so like for the sewing classes, have you ever tried to do them through Zoom? Or have you been able to
Well,
try that?
I haven't, but everybody is asking me, and everybody's asking about those YouTube uh do your own thing, and
Yeah.
especially the young ladies, so I'm like, well, when I have a moment I'll definitely try that. But even though with everything that is going on, I still am very, very, very busy, so
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. I was going to ask that. I
Yeah.
was like, with the pandemic, have you been affected with your business, like with the traffic or the inquiries?
Well, I don't think so. Some parts of the business got slower, but because I'm a fast mover and I'm like, okay, this is not going very well, but I still have this, and this going on. So let me concentrate on this and let me concentrate on that. And so what happened, one of the things that happened is that like a few years ago, I gave classes to very small children, and it was about designing and cutting and how I said it, sticking fabric to paper,
Yeah.
and the children just loved it. So then the more I did it, the more I thought like, well, children should be doing this at home too. So I designed a box, and now the box is becoming something really, really, really how I say that, wanted here in
Yeah.
Holland. So yeah, and because of some parts of the business that were going slow, I picked that up, and now that is going very well. So yeah.
I think that that's awesome. Because some parents, I know here, like a lot of the parents, this is the most amount of time they've had to actually spend time with their children.
Yeah.
So it's kind of looking for something to keep them entertained because
Yeah.
they are having to homeschool in certain parts of the United States. And so now you're having to teach them in school, teach them from home. You're doing your stuff that you normally do at home, but how do we in, have some extracurricular activity for them? So I think that for the sewing, because I feel like sewing has kind of lost its purpose and its place in our culture. And like, I love to sew, I love to do that kind of stuff, but for some kind of reason, I feel that it skipped a few generations. So I think that the sewing boxes make sense because it gives. I remember making clothes for my dolls. Like, I remember I made clothing for my pet, like my dog, like growing up.
Yeah.
I loved to make things, and to do the box, I think that's a really great option for parents to have that with their children. Have
Yeah.
you found any challenges with getting outside of just Holland, or like with your orders or with supplying to customers, or is that not even an issue for you?
For now, everything towards my customers just is going very well. I mean, of course, I am very busy, and for some reason, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So things just remain hectic for me.
Yeah.
But getting towards my customers and getting my customers into my shop, it's not that hard because, well, I guess the way I talk and the way let people feel, make them feel how they
Yeah.
feel, gives them a lot of sense of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once somebody trusts you, the whole thing just goes down, and they're like, oh, okay, can I come over? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I have a little shop. Just remember, you can't take more than two people with you. Remember to wear a mask. Remember this, remember that, and then it's all fine. It's all good.
That's awesome. So, like, I think that that's so great that even though one part of your business was affected by the pandemic, you've still been able to grow another part of your business, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, that's when you're having a business, it's not only just doing your job, but it's a whole other mentality, and you always have to think about your best case scenario, your in the middle scenario, and your worst case scenario.
Mhm.
And when no matter what happens, when something happens, then you switch to your middle case scenario.
Yeah.
And if something really bad happens, you switch to your worst case scenario. But all those cases have to be part of you, and all those cases have to be how you say that, they have to be like a money making business.
Yeah.
And all those cases, well, the best case scenario has to be like 100 miles apart from the worst case scenario,
Mhm.
so that even though like now what's going on and everything, you can just switch and say like, okay, this is not working for me, so what is going to work for me?
Mhm.
And of course, we're women, and especially Black women, we can switch gears so quick that everybody is like, okay, what happened, what happened?
Exactly. And flexibility is important. Like
Definitely.
it's so important with entrepreneurship. And I think if any lesson we can learn in 2020 is the power to just shift and be flexible to learn something new, or to be flexible in just, I guess, shifting our business. Because if it was like, oh, I have to grow my business this way, got to grow it this way, got to grow it this way, then you would miss out on the opportunities that may be on the other side.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I believe so too. I also have this thing in my mind that uh, it's part of life, and you can like do your 9 to 5. If that works for you, hey, who am I?
Yeah.
Because everybody has to do what makes them happy, right?
Yeah.
But as a entrepreneur, I'm like, hey, what makes me happy? And it's not only sewing and designing, it's a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And if I can connect all those dots together, then it's always going to be Regine there somewhere,
Yeah.
and close to my heart and close to my what I love doing. But designing and making and innovating, that's me.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
And for you, what would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned on your journey to entrepreneurship?
Um, Never give up.
Mhm.
Never give up. Well, you know what they say in the songs: "Get rich or die trying."
Yeah.
And before, I didn't believe in that, because I'm like, hey, this is me, and I don't believe in those guys. But during the times that I'm learning and doing and making things happen, small things, big things, it's all about, okay, I want to do this, and then you're doing it. Okay, now I want to do this, and then you're doing that, and then, oh, now I want to do, and then the third, I want to do this, is not working, and then you're like, and then what do? Give up? Why? I mean, life is about challenges, and you have to just take them and do it, and it gives you personality.
Yes. I think that's is, and I think that when we can just shake it off and keep going, like shake it off, because like someone had posted on my Instagram saying, like, how do you have motivation? I'm like, well, stay, like, when you lose sight of the result you're wanting, then of course you lose motivation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm just doing it to just do it. But if you're realizing I'm doing this because this is the desired result that I want, I may not know the steps to get there, but I'm just going to keep making steps until I get there.
Yeah, what I always say about getting and keeping your motivation is about making this thing what you want to do so big that no matter what's on your road, which thing is going to be on your road, your goal is so big that anything that comes on your road is will be smaller. And as long as you see your goal out there, and even if you lose focus, your goal is so big
Yeah.
that your focus will be shifting back automatically, because you can't lose the goal out of your sight because it's so big. And how do you know it's so big when people call you crazy?
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, you're trying to do what?
Yeah. What? When? This year? Are you crazy? And I'm like, now I know I'm in a good space. Yeah. And laughing and dancing just makes it all worth it. So if you can dance towards your goal, then you're definitely on your pink cloud.
Yes, I agree. That's great wisdom right there that you shared. Thank you so very
Thank
much for
you.
that. And so I like to always ask people, what would you like to see of your brand in the next 5 years?
For Kitchen for Fashion, next to trying, well, not trying, but doing Holland, I really want to do. I have these fashion preview parties, and I really want to do a few in America. So I'm definitely coming up your way.
Yay! Well, Rama and I would be like happy, like, yes.
Of course, you guys will be right there in the center, up close and personal.
Exactly. And I really appreciate you talking to me. For anyone that wants to follow or connect with you, how would they find Kitchen for Fashion?
Insta and Facebook. I'm there. Just type in Kitchen for Fashion, and I'll pop up and send me a message. I'm open for everything. And yeah, I like moving, so I'm never too busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy, but not too busy.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so very much for chatting with me today. I will make sure that I have the way that you reach her in the description. So if you have any questions, reach out to her or comment in the box. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank